We're floating on the surface of the Pacific Ocean. The water here is impossibly blue, the kind of blue that makes you forget the sky exists. Waves roll gently beneath us, catching the light, fracturing it into 1,000 dancing diamonds. It's warm. It's alive. Schools of fish dart just beneath the surface, and somewhere in the distance you might hear the call of seabirds. But we're not staying here. Beneath this sunlit paradise lies the deepest scar on the face of the earth. The Mariana Trench stretches for 1,550 miles in a crescent shape near Guam, and at its deepest point, it plunges nearly 7 miles straight down. A chasm so profound that if you placed Mount Everest inside it, the peak would still be over a mile underwater. To put that in perspective, that's deeper than the cruising altitude of most commercial aircraft. This is the Mariana Trench. And today, we're going all the way down. Take one last breath of surface air, one last look at the light, because where we're going, the sun has never reached. We begin our descent. At first, the change is subtle. The blue deepens, becomes richer, more saturated. Sunlight still penetrates here, but it's softer now, filtered through layers of water. This is the epipelagic zone, the realm of light. But we're not stopping. We drop deeper. At around 200 meters, something changes. The blue begins to fade. The warm golds and reds of the spectrum have already been swallowed by the water above us. Red light can only penetrate about 15 feet underwater, which is why blood looks green at depth. Now we're entering the Twilight zone, the mesopelagic. The light here is dim, ghostly, like standing in a forest at dusk. And then, as we pass 1,000 meters, the last rays of sunlight die. Darkness swallows us whole. The bathypelagic, the midnight zone. Total, complete darkness. Your eyes strain against the black, searching for something, anything. But there's nothing. No up, no down. Just an infinite void pressing in from all sides. The pressure here is crushing, over 100 times what we experience at the surface. Every square inch of your body would feel 1,500 pounds of force. This is a world that shouldn't support life. And yet, there's a flicker, a tiny blue spark in the distance. Then another, and another. Bioluminescence. Some use it to hunt, others to communicate. Many use it as a defense, releasing clouds of glowing particles to confuse predators while they escape into the darkness. And then you see it, hanging motionless in the water column, impossibly alien, an anglerfish. That famous glowing lure dangling from its head isn't just for show. It's a fishing rod baited with light-producing bacteria. In a place where food is desperately scarce, that little light is everything. It's a beacon that says, "Come closer." And when something does, those needle-like teeth snap shut. Here's something that sounds like fiction. The male anglerfish is tiny, sometimes 100 times smaller than the female. When he finds a mate, he latches onto her body with his teeth, and over time, he literally fuses with her, becoming a permanent parasite that exists only to provide sperm. His eyes degenerate, his organs dissolve. He becomes part of her. Drifting past us comes something that looks like it was designed by nightmares, a gulper eel. Its mouth is grotesquely oversized, unhinged like a snake's, capable of swallowing prey larger than itself. Its stomach can expand to accommodate meals it might not encounter again for months. Down here, you can't afford to be picky. If food appears, you eat it, no matter the size. Vampire squid, hatchetfish with bodies so thin they're nearly invisible from the side. A perfect adaptation to avoid predators in a world where the only light comes from other creatures. Giant isopods, prehistoric-looking crustaceans that scuttle across the floor like armored cockroaches the size of footballs. These are the monsters of the deep. And we're still descending. At 4,000 meters, the nature of the ocean changes again. We've reached the abyssopelagic zone, the abyss. Here, the ocean floor stretches out beneath us like an alien desert. The Abyssal Plain. It's flat, featureless, extending for thousands of miles in every direction. This is the largest habitat on Earth, covering more than 50% of the planet's surface, an area larger than all the continents combined. And it's almost entirely unexplored. We have better maps of Mars than we do of the Abyssal Plains. The pressure is now more than 400 times surface pressure. The darkness is absolute. The silence is so profound it feels like a physical presence. But look closely at the water around us. There's something falling. Slowly. Constantly. Marine snow. It looks exactly like it sounds. Tiny white flakes drifting down through the darkness like a perpetual blizzard. But this isn't frozen water. It's death from above. The remains of plankton, fish waste, dead organisms from the surface, everything that dies in the upper ocean eventually falls here. It can take weeks or even months for a particle to drift down from the surface to the abyssal floor. This marine snow is the primary food source for almost everything in the abyss, delivering only about 5% of the organic matter produced in surface waters. The other 95% gets consumed or decomposed on the way down. And where there's food, there's life. A sea cucumber inches across the sediment, vacuuming up organic particles. Its movement is almost imperceptible. Down here, everything moves in slow motion. A tripod fish stands on elongated fins, motionless, waiting for something edible to drift within reach. It might stand there for hours, days even. There's a strange beauty to this place, a terrible, patient beauty. Life here exists at the absolute edge of possibility, clinging to existence with a tenacity that borders on defiance. The metabolism of creatures here is so slow that some are estimated to live for centuries. But we're not stopping here either, because ahead of us, the seafloor disappears. A crack in the earth itself opens before us, a chasm that drops away into depths that make everything we've seen so far seem shallow. We're approaching the trench. We're now entering the Hadal zone, named after Hades, the ancient Greek god of the underworld. If the midnight zone was dark, this is something beyond darkness. This is the absence of everything. The walls of the Mariana Trench rise on either side of us like the edges of a wound in the planet. We're descending into a crack formed by the collision of tectonic plates, where the Pacific plate is being forced beneath the Philippine plate at a rate of about 2 to 3 inches per year. Yet down here, you'd never know it from the eerie stillness. At 8,000 meters, the pressure is approximately 800 times what we experience at sea level. That's roughly 8 tons per square inch, equivalent to having 50 jumbo jets stacked on top of your thumbnail. If you took a human body and brought it down here without protection, the pressure would compress you into something unrecognizable. The air in your lungs would be crushed. Your bones would crack. Your cells would rupture. A styrofoam cup brought down here would be compressed to the size of a thimble. And yet, life persists. Drifting past us comes a snailfish, a pale, almost translucent creature with a body like gelatin. It's been filmed at depths exceeding 8,000 meters, making it one of the deepest living fish ever recorded. The current record holder was found at 8,178 meters in 2017. Its bones are barely mineralized. Too much calcium would make them brittle under this pressure. Instead, it's soft, flexible, almost ghostly. Its body is so well adapted to pressure that if you brought it to the surface, it would literally fall apart. Amphipods, tiny shrimp-like creatures, swarm around anything organic that falls into the trench. Despite their small size, some of them are giants compared to their shallow water cousins. They're the cleanup crew of the Hadal zone, devouring whatever scarce nutrients arrive. When researchers dropped a camera with bait attached into the trench, it was swarmed by thousands of these creatures within hours. The isolation here is total. The walls of the trench rise thousands of meters above us. The nearest land is miles above our heads. We're deeper beneath the surface than commercial airliners fly above it. This is the edge of the habitable world, and we're still going deeper. We've reached the Challenger Deep, the bottom, the deepest point in the Earth's oceans. Named after the HMS Challenger, whose crew first sounded these depths in 1875 using weighted rope. The bottom of the world. The seafloor here is covered in a fine, pale sediment, silica-rich ooze composed of the shells of microscopic organisms called radiolarians. The pressure at this depth is an incomprehensible 16,000 pounds per square inch, 1,086 times surface pressure. The silence here is absolute. No waves, no currents, just stillness. You'd think this would be a lifeless place, a dead zone where nothing could possibly survive. But you'd be wrong. When filmmaker James Cameron descended here in 2012 in his submersible deep-sea Challenger, he became only the third person in history to reach this point, and the first to do it solo. He described it as lunar, desolate. But he also saw life. Small, alien, determined. He spent 3 hours at the bottom collecting samples and filming. This is as far down as you can go on Earth without drilling into the crust itself. We're standing at the absolute limit of the living world, in a place that has more in common with the surface of another planet than with the sunlit ocean above. For a moment, let yourself feel the weight of everything above us. 7 miles of water. The entire ocean pressing down. The darkness that has existed here since the formation of the Earth itself. This is the frontier, the final, unexplored wilderness of our planet. And now, it's time to leave. We begin our ascent, and this time, it's fast. The journey down took us through layers, zones, worlds of darkness. But going up, we're racing against decompression, against the limits of human endurance. James Cameron's ascent took just 70 minutes, compared to over 2 hours descending. The walls of the trench blur past us. The Hadal zone releases us. The Abyssal Plain stretches out one last time before we climb beyond it. The Midnight Zone welcomes us back with its constellation of bioluminescent stars. And then, light. First, just a hint, a suggestion of blue in the black. Then more, and more, until suddenly, impossibly, we break through the Twilight Zone, and the sun is waiting for us. The surface of the Pacific greets us exactly as we left it. Blue, warm, alive. But we're different now. We've seen something that fewer than a dozen humans in history have witnessed. We've traveled to the deepest point on Earth, a place more remote than the International Space Station, more alien than the surface of Mars. In fact, more people have walked on the moon than have descended to the Challenger Deep. And here's the thing that should keep you up at night. We've explored less than 5% of the ocean floor. The Mariana Trench is just one of many Hadal zones scattered across the planet. There are 46 Hadal zones worldwide, and we've barely scratched the surface of understanding them. So the next time you stand on a beach and look out at the water, remember, beneath that sparkling surface lies a world of wonders and horrors in equal measure. A world of crushing pressure and infinite darkness. A world where life has found ways to survive that we're only beginning to understand. Thank you for joining the journey. Subscribe to see where and when we travel next.